Hey everybody, Michael Dieterich here. I'm just a poor boy and I've got another video for you, but I will tell you now, this video is unlike any of my other videos. In fact, it's not really even my video, even though I'm part of it. I'm going to be talking today in this interview about how I turned my old life into my new life. Just a quick history. Before the pandemic, I was a fairly successful trainer at big companies. I coached people in the art of public speaking. I gave workshops. I was a host for big events, and I traveled all around the world as an international speaker. And all of those things were taken away because of the pandemic. Now, before the pandemic in 2018, I met the wonderful guy you're about to meet as well, named Dave Crane. Now, if you are in the international speaking community or you are in big business and you've never heard of this guy, then you are missing out, and you have to at least go to LinkedIn and follow him. Dave Crane, you're missing out otherwise. This guy, I could do a whole video just telling you his bio. So I'm just going to give you a quick blurb instead. He is a United Nations consultant. He is a BBC trained journalist, a broadcaster, and a speaker. He's a host of huge events. He's a public speaking coach. He does virtual presentation skills trainings for branding, for leadership, and for motivating your remote teams. He is the co-host of the Toilet Paper Diaries together with my friend Ernesto Verdugo, and he's also the host of his own show, Speak Onstage. And I was fortunate enough earlier this week to be the guest in his show, and today I'm going to show you that video. What does that have to do with acrylic pouring? Because after the pandemic hit and I had no work, I had to, as Dave puts it, reinvent myself. And I managed to take my theater skills that I had before and my natural drive and put them to use to become an acrylic pouring artist and to sell my work and to start a YouTube channel. So even though I am not like financially dependent on my YouTube channel and it's just growing, just by painting and selling paintings and doing commissions, I've managed to survive. Literally survive. So Dave wanted to interview me about life before the pandemic, life during the pandemic, and life after. For those of you that like my time-lapse videos, I did a lovely orange piece that a lot of people loved, and I have now coated that with resin, and it turned out beautifully. And if you're interested, I actually show that finished piece here in the interview. So I hope you enjoy. Special thanks to Dave Crane for allowing me to post this on my own page. Enjoy. This was my interview with the lovely Dave Crane during his TV show, Speak Onstage.
Welcome back to Speak On Stage. I'm Dave Crane, and it's my dear friend now, my great pleasure to bring my dear friend, Michael Diederich. And the thing is, you won't know who he is until you recognize him, and you go, Now, the thing is about Michael is we've known each other for many years as entertainers on the circuit, and also the fact we've done lots of speaking gigs together and traveled the world as well. And he's an incredible entertainer, but he's reinvented his art in a way that most artists really couldn't do. Most people who were entertainers, singers, speakers, and so on, musicians, have had to sit at home eating noodles and wondering when the gigs are going to come back. Michael didn't wait, and Michael reinvented himself. It's my pleasure now to bring to Speak On Stage the incredible Michael Dieterich. How are you?
I'm great, Dave. So good to see you.
You too. And we've been talking through the Toilet Paper Diaries, which is a show that Ernesto Verdugo and I do intermittently. But this is probably the first time apart from WhatsApp, so we'd had a chance to talk to each other properly. in the flesh.
Yeah, we haven't been face to face since the kind of the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, I get to watch you a lot more often, but it's I was saying earlier, sometimes you and Ernesto are talking, and I'll chime in like a demented person shouting at the television. So I talk to you, you just never answer back.
We get that a lot. Most people watching us have got their laptop covered in the food that they were eating before they started watching the show because they get so wound up by it. Now, you're based in Holland, and we've traveled, we've done stuff in India, we've gone to America, Houston, and all sorts. Now, you are very well known for a TV show in Holland. What's the show
Yes.
called? Tell me about it so we can show a clip of it.
Great. It's a BBC concept, so British viewers might definitely recognize it. It's in like 13 countries around the world. It's called All Together now. You have so many of these singing competitions, but they wanted to make like a feel-good version, which was like, imagine you had a singer who could appeal to everyone, that you liked opera or you liked heavy metal or musical or rock and roll. What if you could appeal to people that have different genres? So basically, they got together a jury of 100 people. Were called the 100, and it's literally exactly what I said. There's a couple of ladies from a Dutch a girl group from years ago. There's a winner from the Eurovision Song Contest. There's an opera tenor. There's an opera soprano, and they can often have fights with each other. There's some rappers and some R&B, and a couple musical people. And it's interesting because it's 100 personalities, and you can't possibly, focus on all of them. But it became very clear that the people that had a point of view and an opinion became like the front runners of the show. And in the
Being very
long run, and
modest. What you're saying
well, I
is
mean,
that you became the standout star, not just because
uh,
you're a big guy, but because of the fact you know your entertainment very well. And you also understand this is your improv stuff coming through. You also understand the pregnant pause and how to use it so everybody has to wait to see what Michael has to say. And you're a genius at doing this. I love it.
yeah, I mean, I knew what I was doing. I went in there with a point of view. I was always honest. I was always genuine, but I was going to be critical. I wasn't going to be like, oh, I love this song and push the button. I was like, yeah, I love this song too, but is it better than the original? Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. So I kind of became a bit of a villain of the show in a way, but it slowly turned around to kind of the anti-hero, which was people, especially kids. That was my favorite part. Kids in the grocery store in Holland, just like, look, Mom, it's Michael. And the kids always said, it's like, oh, Mister, I love watching you because I know someone's really good if you stand up. And it was like, oh, there's no better compliment, But then you got adults just going, oh, you're just so sour. You don't like anything.
That's their
But
problem. I mean, you basically hit the Simon Cowell formula, which is you know your stuff and you won't give it away for free. They have to be very good. Whereas everybody else is going, love me, love me. You didn't do that, which is what really worked.
yeah, it's in a way it's true. The one thing I had was different was I was not. I mean, Simon. I mean, since he's had a child, he's gotten quite a bit milder.
Oh,
But in the
good.
earlier seasons, you could definitely see him being bitter and nasty. And I was never that. When people were saying that to me, I'd go, "I'm sorry. Would you tell me what I said that was so mean?" And they would go back, and they couldn't because I wasn't. I gave honest criticism, and I almost always started off with a compliment. So that, yeah, but people, especially here in Holland, they want to see the every silver lining has a cloud in the Netherlands.
They're just fascinated by it. So let's take a look at the show and let's see what Michael's like in action.
Dit is All Together Now, de muzikale hitshow met maar één doel. 100 muziekexperts laten opstaan en meezingen.
Get ready for me, love, 'cause I'm a comer. I simply gotta march right to drum and nobody, no, nobody is gonna rain on
Supergoed. Michael, jij kon niet anders dan opstaan.
Nee, toen je opkwam, ik denk, kom op meid. En toen kwam die been buiten en ik denk, super. Dit is een nummer voor de meest ervaren zangeres van Broadway. Dus toen hij begon, ik denk van, nee, dit gaat het niet worden. Maar tijdens het nummer, het was net alsof ik je een soort carrière volgde. Van iemand in het ensemble, bijrol. En je kwam bij het laatste noot en ik denk, hoofdrol.
Michael, it's amazing to see you on that show. And you became, how many seasons of that show went on to make you the star that you became?
We did 2. I mean, it was pretty clear right away in the first episode. It's like the first time I saw the bumper for the show, I went in and I was like, oh, let's see who they're going to focus on. Because I'd seen the British version and I was like, yeah, they're probably going to do it the same way. So it became pretty clear from episode 1, like, okay, I'm going to get, pretty much every episode I got at least to talk once. And yeah, some of the favorite moments was 99 people stood and I was the only one who did it. And then having to defend myself from 99 angry fellow jury members as well. 12 angry men, this was 99 angry men and women.
But the thing is, and I know this from being an entertainer, you're actually defending your right to say the camera's on me, as much as you're defending the right to turn around and say that I wanted to make sure it was the right person. It's a perfect mix. The reason I say it is because I know when I did Blind Date many years ago, I played the game under Blind Date. Not Blind Date, the game under. You work out what else is going on, and that's what you play towards. And that's how I
for me, it was really just being super critical, and that just made it really, really easy. And, I'm a very emotional person as well. So in the second episode, a guy sang Rise Like a Phoenix from the Eurovision Song Contest. And I mean, I broke down crying, and it was like, suddenly it was like, it was the episode where on Twitter, I was like, suddenly people started changing their mind because it was like, oh, Michael does have feelings. So it's like, I'm not who you think I am. So it's even during the show. So we had 2 seasons. 7 episodes in the first season, 9 in the second season, and we were just getting in discussions whether or not the 3rd season would be coming, and that's when the pandemic hit.
And for you, like me, as a full-on entertainer, speaker, doing corporate events and so on, it was literally like the carpet was pulled from under our feet. The ability to earn by doing what we'd done and honed as a craft that had positioned us really well to travel around the world as global speakers and entertainers suddenly became zero. And we had to reinvent ourselves. How did you feel when you went through that?
I mean, it was miserable. The year before, I had become freelance. I'd worked for Boom Chicago, a comedy club in Amsterdam, for years. So I kind of had like a contract that made me feel safe. But I realized I'm doing the work. I want to get the money for it, So I spread my wings and went out into the world, and it was great. But then suddenly I didn't have this net to fall back on, and that was like super scary. And you're absolutely right. You think hosting, workshops, speaking, training, improv, entertaining. I mean, everything that I do that makes money was suddenly gone.
So that process really, it makes you desperate. It also makes you have to reinvent. It makes you scared, worried, and also it makes you think about the other people who, I mean, what was the process you went through? What was your mindset? Because there's a happy ending to this. There's an amazing new direction that you took, which we'll share in a moment. But what was the process to get towards reinventing yourself as an actual artist, a painting artist, as opposed to being an on-stage artist?
Yeah, I mean, you saw that some people would try and do, online hosting or online coaching or speaking, but even like the businesses, they weren't hiring a lot of that. And every once in a while, I'd get an online workshop or an online gig, but not nearly enough. Luckily, I was in a marriage where my partner had a government job, so that wasn't a problem. And I was just taking care of the house and trying to make a happy home. So, you're earning the money and I'm taking care of the house, basically. And then the summer came around and, done a lot of stuff, but I was like, I need to find something new, something fun. And I stumbled across this form of painting called acrylic pouring. And I decided to try it out. I did 3 paintings in kind of one go, and I put them on Facebook. And 15 minutes later, someone on Facebook offered to buy one of the paintings. So I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So I took that, the profit from that, and I went and bought some more supplies and some more colors. And the next day I did 4 paintings. And at the end of the day, one of those had sold. And I was like, maybe there's something to this. And then, of course, because the world already wasn't at its end, my partner announced, I want a divorce. And it came out of nowhere for me. And within 3 weeks, they were gone. So here I am living in this huge house. I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet because, yeah, I'm a freelancer. I was depending on you. And the only thing that kept me sane was painting. I would go to the studio, for those 3 weeks, it was uncomfortable in the house, and I would just go out there. And that was the only time I could get out of my head. And I just found such a release in that. So I've said recently, acrylic pouring has saved my life 3 times. The first time was it got me through my divorce. The second time was it got me through these lockdowns when I could have gone stir crazy in my house. And I've now managed in the last 7 months to sell enough paintings that at the end of every month, it's the paintings that fill the gap that I normally wouldn't have. So, knock on wood, that reinvention, that process. I mean, to be honest, I kind of stumbled upon it. I didn't go, oh, I'm going to reinvent myself. No, I decided to learn a new skill, and it turned out to be super helpful in so many ways. And now with YouTube on top of that, it's continuing to grow.
Now, before we show that video, a video from your YouTube channel, it's called Just a Poor Boy, spelt P-O-U-R, because you
Yeah,
pour
I'm just a poor boy.
and you make this incredible art. How would you describe your process of doing that? Because I love art, but I mean, I used to draw, but I would never be able to go down the route of what you're doing now.
Well, to put it simply, first thing is if you look what it is, basically you take acrylic paint and through different styles, you thin the paint to a pourable consistency. And in almost all cases, you are pouring on a horizontal canvas. So instead of painting on a canvas that's upright, you're actually pouring the painting. Sometimes you're stacking the color in cups. Sometimes you're doing it in puddles. Sometimes you're pouring through sieves or colanders or different objects to get different shapes. And then using either just your hands to manipulate the canvas or things like toothpicks, or one of my favorites is the Dutch pour, where you actually use a hair dryer to blow the paint across the canvas. You manipulate the paint. So that's like the technical side of it. And when some people look at the video, they go, oh, well, I can do that. But people who try it suddenly go, why do I have a awful brown painting? Yeah, because there is some stuff involved, especially consistency is a big thing, but color choice, composition, balance, super important. And yeah, having been in theater for years and thinking about, costumes, lights, sets, that idea of color theory. And, when you look at a set, you want it to be pleasing to the eye, and you want to tell the audience immediately where you want to look. So all of those theatrical experiences I've had, stand center stage. Well, make sure that what you want to see is in the middle of the painting. So having that part of that made me instantly a better artist.
But that doesn't explain your ability to have it in your head what you're going to create. When you get your colors together, it looks so deliberate, and it looks so like you've planned it. Is that really the case? Did you do it like that, or does it just come out?
No, you have to. That's the thing, is a lot of people, the reason it goes wrong is because they want it to look a certain way, and they're fighting against the paint. It's like trying to fight against a river. I can influence the flow of the river by putting a stone somewhere, but I cannot stop the river and bend it completely to my will. So I can't fight the paint. I've got to work together with it. One of the interesting concepts I discovered is, if you've got a pool of paint on the canvas and you're looking at it, most people go, oh, I don't like that part, so I'll get rid of it. You dump that off first. But the funny thing is that will now anchor in that corner. And when you go to manipulate everything else, that part stretches out and gets bigger. So you kind of have to take the risk of what's the part I want to keep and pour it off to the point where you go, oh, it's just not there, and then work your way backwards. And a lot of people don't see that. I can use certain techniques to see things, to go, oh, it's going to end up kind of like this, but no, you have to work together. And sometimes you're just super surprised at what comes out, but you have to work together with the canvas. It's like a dance.
I was going to say, because what you mentioned there, I've seen you do it in your video. We're going to have a look at one of your videos in a moment, and you're going, "Oh no, there's too much of that," and I'm going to make sure I clean it off, and I'm going to add some hair, some blow drying here. And as you're doing it, I'm going, "Yeah, you're right," but I had no idea that was a problem until you flagged it up. So your view of this is fantastic. Now, when you started doing this, you can't have just done it now. You must have been doing it on the side or for fun, for some period before lockdown, though.
The ego in me says a lot of times people will look at like, oh, you built a table, or they go, oh, you made that macrame mirror, or oh, you built that closet, or oh, you did that. And I often hear the term, people go, oh my gosh, Michael, you can do everything. And I have a comical answer, which is not safe for television. I always say there's two things I can't do. But the one I can tell you is I can't draw. As a child, it frustrated me to no end. I could not just take a pen or a pencil or anything, and I just could not get what was in my head on the page. And when I realized that was not my thing, I just stopped doing it and I branched out. But that was always a limitation for me. And because I thought I couldn't draw, I think I just assumed I couldn't paint, because I thought of painting as something realistic and not as something abstract. So it's been less than a year, Dave. It was literally halfway through June, the very, very first time I have ever painted in my life.
Well, it's amazing stuff, and people are waiting to see what it looks like. So without any further ado, let me introduce you to an incredible channel on YouTube that you must connect to, and we're going to find out how you can get access to some of these incredible pictures. Have a look at Michael Diederich's Just a Poor Boy on YouTube. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love it. That's so fantastic. And I watched, I mean, it's done in time lapse, but I've watched these
Yeah.
with my daughter, and we can't take our eyes off the screen because the whole thing, there's something entrancing about watching the way that you put it all together in front of people. And I love the fact that you didn't talk on that one, but normally you make comments and stuff all the way through because your big personality comes out. And that's as entertaining as the visual side, which is why I love watching your videos. Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, I made two different versions. Like that, what you just saw, that's like 3 minutes. So that's bite size. It's a size that's like acceptable for so many people to go, oh, wow, that's fascinating. And then other people go, wait, I really want to know who they did that. Well, I've done a second edit where I've talked through the whole process while I'm doing it. And this is just the cut down version. So also, as far as YouTube goes, I'm usually get out of every painting, I'm getting two videos. The one where people who are interested in the process or want to paint, they're getting a whole video. And then people who just go, wow, that's fascinating, watching those high speed videos. Sometimes I do just like funny subtitles, but yeah. And I took advice from you as well about that personality. I've been starting my videos off before my little I'm just a poor boy bumper, talking to the audience, telling them what to expect. And that saves me a bunch of time at the beginning of each video as well, explaining things. So
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it works really well. And I wanted to know where, in the end, you're going to be taking this stuff because it's fascinating to see how you've invented this brand new version of yourself. And it's fascinating because it's really great to watch as entertainment. But ultimately, I mean, I would be really surprised if you went back to what you were doing before only, because I think that what this is a different direction that's sustainable because you don't need an audience. YouTube provides that. You've got a talent to create something that nobody else gets access to, and you've got what is the key to all this, which is a side hustle. A side hustle, which is a job that brings in money, so you don't have to worry about your main job, but you can also step it up into being something that looks after everything. So it's the best of everything, really, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, it's a side hustle that in a way, this takes time. The paintings don't take that long to do. The videos, editing them, that takes, time. Uh, it's actually preparing, mixing the paints and getting the right consistency and preparing the canvas. That takes forever. And then people go, well, how long from the moment that you actually poured the paint till you're finished? And some of those you go, it's 4 minutes, but it took me 2 hours to make the whole painting. But with like public speaking and these gigs, I'm still getting, next week I've got, for a company, I'm doing an online workshop about public speaking, but in the Zoom era. So great, I'll do that. I'll make my money on that as well. And then when I'm done, I'll go back to the studio. So I'm not sure how it's all going to pan out yet. But like right now, the side hustle is actually almost in a way the main hustle. And if I can get these other gigs, I've been teaching it as well. So, and I keep learning as well. Like this painting you just saw, I love when you look at it on the screen when it's still wet, you go, yeah, okay. And then you get the close up and you go, oh, that's better. And then you see it dry and you go, oh, that's even nicer. But now I just recently started working with resin and I have now coated this one and you get these brand new
That is nice.
finishes. And then suddenly it just comes to life. And yeah,
It's so
that's a
big.
funny thing. Yeah.
You've heard that before. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's massive as well. That's beautiful. So, is that the picture you just made for us then? Is that what it looks like when it's all finished and done and dusted?
This one is with resin, which is different than just like varnish. So this definitely has a super shine to it. It's expensive, but it also means I can charge more for the painting. But that's the one you literally just saw, and you go, oh.
Oh,
And the funny thing is, I love that people always wow, like when people have a custom order from me, I'll show them the pictures and the videos, and they go, oh, I love it, I love it. And I love hand delivering my paintings, especially in the Netherlands, because then people open it, and my favorite part is always the same as, oh, it's so much more beautiful in real life. Always. There's just something that a video can't capture, the essence of the colors and the shine and the glow. So, yeah.
well,
I've been using, we were talking about public speaking, I talk about this idea of you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes in improv. And I've used that as public speaking. And I've done that now with painting as well. I see all these
painters, and it's like you talk about the fact that sometimes you make an ugly painting, and it happens to all of us, but none of these YouTubers show it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to dare to show it. So I showed a pour that went wrong. And then instead of throwing it away, I said, I'm going to try and save this painting. And it was 24 by 30 canvas. And half of it was beautiful and half of it was ugly. And I just said, what if I loosened the canvas and then cut the frame in half and then just reattached it? So this was on my premiere last night. This is then the finished product.
Oh, very nice.
It's got like this almost like snake skin kind of quality to it, but it was just like this half was just black, and it turned out gorgeous. This is one of those ones that you go, if you see it in real life, people go, oh, it's so much shinier than I thought.
Well,
so talking about reinventing, it's also about taking the lessons you already know and applying them to something completely different.
amazing. I love what you're doing. And can I ask you what kind of price to buy one of these paintings for somebody who looks at it and they're watching and they're saying, is it still available? What's the retail for these things?
So if you go to the YouTube channel, it's I'm just a poor boy with an apostrophe, but I do have a website as well where everything that's available, and that's also I'm just a poor boy.nl without the apostrophe, of course. And I have pieces that range anywhere from 40 euros to 1,250 euros right now. It's basically a bit of a formula based on the size. Size matters.
Hey, thank you, Mother.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. And here's what I think. For looking at that, I think you should double your prices, because I think that those things are not just collector's items, but I think that your YouTube channel is going to grow to such a huge amount that after lockdown, when everyone's out doing stuff, you'll still be doing this. And I also perceive you doing this as a stage show. And getting people to bid for it and buy it and so on. I mean, I sent you a load of ideas. I'll continue to send you ideas about how I think you're going to be able to make this work even better. And I just love what you're doing here, Michael. It's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, right before we went into lockdown, I did manage to have my very first exhibition where I showed 102 paintings, and then I sold 20. So I sold 1/5 of my collection in 3 days. On the second day, in the evening, I did a live pouring demonstration where I did 3 paintings in an hour and a half for a live audience, but also on Facebook. And on the last day, I had a 20% take it savings. Like, people would buy them, but they couldn't have it until the end of the exhibition. But Sunday, I was like, if you come back Sunday and it's still here, I'll give you 20% off. So that I realized that being there, you know how it is. We both have this stagecraft, and our personalities do a lot of work. So if I'm there in my exhibition and people are looking and they go, oh, this is pretty, I will make it prettier than it is. I will appeal to all your senses, and people then go, well, yeah, I've got to have it.
I've got to have it. It's a one-off. It's scarce. Everybody else is fighting for it. And you should run an auction on the back of it. That'll make it even more interesting.
I actually did that to raise money for the Northern California fires. I auctioned off 2 pieces, and I sent the money to survivors in Northern California. So also, kind of paying it forward to my community. As far as raising the prices, I'm definitely at some point going to go up again. But I love the fact that I'm on all these like Facebook communities to find out, and these professional people. And there's like charts that say, hey, this is kind of what's reasonable to sell your art for. And they go, if you overprice it, you're not going to sell it. And it's like, don't respond.
Yeah, but they're not Michael Dieterich.
I'm 25% above these prices, and I'm selling. So I'm happy. Yeah.
I've got to let you go, but before we do that, I want to ask you an entertainer's question, which is, how do you see the future of entertainment, live, online, on stage, being after the lockdown? In Dubai, we've been out of it now for about 8 to 9 months, and gigs are starting to come back slowly but surely, but with social distancing, wearing masks, and it's not cost effective in most cases to be able to put a room full of people together when you've got to have 2 meters in between each other. Now, you've been in this industry a long time, same as me. Where do you see things are going to be? Hybrid, electronic, live? What do you see?
I think it's going to be a real mix, depending on what it is. I think that high price bands, like A-level bands, for example, they can afford to do concerts and charge more. And there will be people who will pay to be that, 1/3 of an audience to have social distance, but that's not going to apply to everyone. This Sunday, I'm doing at Boom Chicago. I'm going to be doing an online event. Now, I'll be at the theater, but they're doing this thing called duos where you can't have a team of 5 people and a musician and a technician. So every Sunday, they're getting 2 improvisers who are just working, just the 2 of us, which isn't usual. And I'm working with a dear friend of mine. We both worked at Boom Chicago for 25 years. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we can scale it down. We can be live together, and they're selling tickets online, and they've been doing that now for like 6 months, and that's doing well. There's a lot of people who are trying to focus on solo performances. Next month, I'll be doing a half-hour long concert from a theater here around the corner. That's all Dutch songs, but I've translated them. They're classic Dutch songs, but I've translated them into English. So it's like, and the concert's called In Other Words. So there's still these possibilities to do this. I think as far as you and I go, when it comes especially to speaking and hosting, that I think corporations are really looking and going, hey, this whole lockdown thing and people working from home actually isn't such a bad thing. We're not paying this huge rent for these offices, and people are being effective. And I think we need to learn how to parlay that into, again, these online events. My public speaking workshops now are really focusing on how, and you and Ernesto did something very similar, which is, how do you become a Zoom hero? You see so many bad Zoom meetings, and it's just like, how can I stop that people will pay attention? And I think that's again, reinventing that art for the digital era. I'm hoping that in the long run, once people talk about herd immunity, and before we get herd immunity, we have to thin out the herd, if you know what I mean. But once we get there, we'll get to a future where I think that human beings are too social to do everything online. We'll want to go to sporting events. We'll want to go to concerts. We'll want to watch theater. But people going now like, oh, I'm streaming movies and I bought a huge television. That might be enough for people. These like huge, you and I are both MCU fans. I can't believe they finally announced it. They're going to just go, hey, we're not going to do Black Widow as a theatrical release. It's going to be available on Disney Plus. And you go, great. I thought, oh, we're going to have to wait till lockdown. Don't have to wait. So I'm willing to do that. Yeah.
And you see, now you're starting me down a rabbit hole I don't want to go down, which is to start to talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision and all the rest of it. I'm going to save that because we will talk about this again. Let's put a pin in it and let's do something about superheroes in the future, because we're both geeks and it's not going to go back in its box if we start it now.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I knew I was going to love WandaVision, and I did. And I thought I was going to hate Winter Soldier and Falcon, and I am not hating it. So, no.
They should have swapped them around. You should have started with Winter Soldier and Falcon, because it would have been what you'd expected, and then you wouldn't be so surprised by it. Well, then WandaVision would have been a wow, because I love both, but WandaVision was so weird that when you had it, you go, right, where are we going next? Oh, back to normal Marvel. And it's kind of a bit of a twist. But any Marvel, blah, 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 I love eating it. I just enjoy the experience. It's fantastic.
I think if we would have rolled into Doctor Strange 2 after WandaVision, it would have made more sense. But everything got changed because of... So, I think that schedule made sense in the pre-pandemic world, but not in the pandemic world. So I get what you're saying, for sure. But I don't think that was what the plan was supposed to be. Oh, yeah, we could talk about this for days.
We have started, and let's not even mention Loki, which looks amazing. Right.
Oh, my.
Don't.
I can just watch. When I'm sad, I just watch that trailer again, and it just makes me kind of happy. Like I've got something to look forward to in life.
I can't wait. We will have this conversation. Let's geek out the next time we bring you onto the show. It's an absolute pleasure to spend quality time with you. I love the artwork. I love you. I love the quality time that you spend. The way you understand, like I do, what brings an entertainer to bring out their very best. And may you continue to do that in the future. Michael Dieterich, always a pleasure.
Thank you, my friend.
Look after
Thanks for
yourself.
having me. I'm so glad to see you back in the digital world. I know you were kind of like burnout for a while, but you're such an inspiration to so many people. When I watch you on LinkedIn, it just amazes me how many people just react. You touch so many people, and I go, I know that guy. So it's really awesome to see you back, and thanks for having me as your guest.
It's an honor. Look forward to talking and geeking out all about the Marvel Universe, and also save a picture for me. Much love.
Bye, buddy.
So there we are, the incredible Michael Dieterich. It's great to have him on Speak on Stage. If you've got questions for him, you want to connect with him, make sure you go to his YouTube channel, watch everything. Just a Poor Boy it's called. That's a channel to connect to, and then get in touch with him and buy everything he's got while it's still cheap, because pretty soon it'll be collector's items. When we go back and he's on TV, it's going to cost you 10 times that. And if you want to see him on stage, get on, watch him. He's worked with Seth Meyers. There's so many big names he's worked with in the past, and he will be working with in the future. And I look forward to having Michael back on the show as well. And it's great having your company too. You're watching Speak on Stage.